The completion. In the final phase, the transition is complete, and we know this because we no longer use the old pattern. We have no desire for it. We find ourselves in a perspective of retrospect and view. This is the phase of learning from the experience and finding appreciation for it. We feel a sense of redemption and restoration to our whole self. Many lights go on, and we experience a deep sense of personal peace and gratitude for life. We feel the comforting sense of love all around us. How sweet the feelings of freedom are. To know we are free to choose to intentionally change the patterns in our life. To be free to say no to what we do not want, and to instead create our own sense and expression of peace. It's our choice, because it is the action of freedom. Free choice is powered by the infinite energy of freedom. So know that every time you consciously choose, you're employing the infinite reach of freedom. You are acknowledging your own infinite free nature. Freedom of association principle. The freedom of association principle states that anything can be associated with anything else. Association forms the basis of self-design through personal expression-impression. We exist in a constant state of freedom, the freedom to be impressed in infinite ways, and the freedom to express infinite possible perspectives and perceptions through infinite possible associations. Association is action. Association is the action of mutual influence through relating or contact. It is an action aspect of our own personal being. It's us as action. This action is self-generating and constant. Sequence, concept, and meaning are all based on associations. Meanings generate from associations. Concepts are held together by association, and sequences link together through one step associating with the next, and so on. In light of this principle, we see the direct creative power of association. This enables us to understand the creative use of personal associations. We don't need to look at why we make certain associations so much as we want to be aware of what particular associations create. Then we can ask ourselves the creator questions. How do I want to express myself? What associations can I make that express what I most desire? What if I associate everything with peace? What expressions would be created through this association? Freedom. Freedom is a truth of life. A truth of life is a whole and complete, self-generating, and self-evident design. Freedom is an absolute. There is either freedom or there is no freedom. It's obvious that freedom exists, so there is no absolute state of no freedom. There is no absolute or first cause, nor is there an absolute state of control. There are degrees of influence so measurable that we can predict them with great precision, and that gives a sense of control. But the effects of the unknown make absolute precision and control non-existent. The effects of mystery reflects the presence of freedom, because anything can come out of mystery. With every movement of our infinite nature, we see that infinity and freedom are both unbounded, unlimited, and eternally unpredictable. What will freedom do? Freedom will choose. That's what it does. What will it choose? Whoever knows. We can choose within the confines of self-designated meanings. We can choose to operate within limits, and we can choose those limits as well. We are so free that we choose to stay with particular sets of limits until we choose something different. No force exists that can move us from our meanings without our consent, or else there would be no freedom. Life is absolutely consensual, and I am totally free to experience myself through my own personal associations, through my own individual life story. I am alive. I am a person. I am free. Fly free, knowing the creative power of your personal attention and the fact of your personal freedom. You have all you need to start utilizing the ego in a way that creates and perpetuates expression experiences of peace, harmony, love, and happiness. Use the ego structure. Use belief to form beliefs about peace. Use your point of view to see through peaceful perspectives. Show your natural preference for peace expression and look with eyes of peace at the patterns of your conditioning to see what you will keep and what you will no longer use. Most of all, take on the role of peacemaker. This does not mean to try to settle conflicts. This means to create your relationships, your story, your life, with an attitude and a mood of peace. Let peace be your approach to life and you will change the world. Exercise. Take some time in the beginning and throughout your day to associate with your free self. Focus on your personal expressions of peace and freedom often. You are, after all, free to do that. Chapter 4. The Big Picture. And I'm going to end. No, I'm not. It's only 6 minutes. Noises are coming into the house. I'm going to shut my door. Okay, Chapter 4, The Big Picture. The big picture, we hear ourselves talking a great deal about the big picture these days among the human people. But what is the big picture? How do you get there and how do you know when you are there? In other words, how do you access it and what does it look, sound, act, feel like? The big picture is a viewpoint, a perspective, and an approach. Please notice that all of these descriptions are of action and experience. They are tools for creating meaning. In the big picture, we explore the meaning of meaning itself. Meaning is fundamentally coherent, purposeful, relatable, and inspirational information. It's obvious that meaning must naturally motivate and inspire to be meaning. To motivate is to move to action, and to inspire is to be moved with appreciation and bliss. Bliss is the electrified state of mind and body that causes you to feel intensely sensitive and alert. It can feel like a tension or a swirling of energy in the solar plexus. It can feel like a gentle and comforting burning in your chest area and just around your face. And it is the mood that provides the Kundalini experience that rushes up the spine and over the top of the head. Meaning is the information that inspires and motivates us. We transform meaning through our personal use into the heart of our individual awareness. The meaning of the story is the heart of the story. The meaning of you is the heart of you. It's where your story is constantly generating from. Ask this question again. What does life mean to me? Allow yourself to freely receive any answer. Now turn that answer into a reflection, and you will see what you mean to yourself. Accept that you are creating this meaning with your personal focus of attention, and that you can move about through your attention and create any meaning you set your focus upon. This simultaneously reflects your meaning for life back to you again, and you personally experience life as and through that meaning. Stop now. Observe the dance between you and the life through the art of creating meaning. See clearly that when you intentionally create meaning, you take life by the hand and life takes your hand in the same instant, and you are creating with life. You are flowing and swimming with life. And since your meaning for life is your meaning for yourself as well, you can see how you are life and life is you, and so it is with all of us in the human we. We are creating our collective life story through our collective meanings. That's how we are co-creating the heart of humanity. Welcome. In reading and thinking about meaning, you are in the big picture view. This is what it looks like. This is what it looks, acts, and feels like. The perspective approach and viewpoint of the meaning of life is a big picture view. Where is it? Wherever you are. The big picture is available. So the big picture is everywhere. We can see from here that the detailed meanings of infinite individual stories are all related through the meaning of meaning. The big picture view is the view through unity. When we ask how things are related, then we open the door to the big picture. When we venture into the connections of the relationship itself, we simultaneously take a big picture approach and venture further into the big picture view. This view is generalized to all that we know about ourselves as humans. This big picture view of human life as a whole. No, the big picture view of human life as a whole. We're totally influenced by the big picture views we're holding, even if we're not aware of them. What we think of humanity is what we think of ourselves, because we are living a human meaning, a human story. This is what I've found so far. Big picture questions shift our attention to the big picture view. And the more questions we ask from there, the more big picture views we get. We can practice and master shifting to the big picture view. We can become proficient at it. When we ask any question concerning all we are asking, when we ask any question concerning all, we are asking a big picture question. An example, what do all humans need? Where do all humans live? How do all humans create? We've also seen that if we approach the meaning of what we're asking about, we're using the big picture view. If we ask, what does it mean to be human? Or what makes us human? Then we are big picturing. The way out of the big picture view is through detail. When we shift our attention to detail, we are no longer big picturing. An example of shifting from the big picture to the details would be if we were asking the questions, what is love? How do we humans show love? And then we turned our attention to the question, does Phil really love me? This is a detailed question about our personal story. When we shift to the details of any story, we shift out of the big picture and vice versa. When we shift out of the detailed view, we auto-shift to the big picture. So we have instant access to both views. We often don't realize this because we humans have a tendency to get caught up in the details. When we immerse ourselves in the details, we find ourselves in the swiftest flow of life, and the current can override our sense of being able to shift. We get stuck in, obsess about, fret over, and stress out over details. This makes us susceptible to lowered energy states in the detailed view. Overindulgence in the detailed view creates warpage in the person's psyche and the body, and the person experiences mental and physical stress, sickness. The perfect, beautiful prize is that you can't overindulge the big picture states, because being aware that the details are always available is part of big picturing. In the big picture, we experience a much more immense and user-friendly pace. We experience our connection to all that is, and this frees us from any time constraints. So our pace is simply whatever we choose. It's in the big picture that we experience ease of being and movement. There's nothing to fret, obsess, or stress out over about. There's nothing to get stuck in. We move freely through the big picture view with our focus of attention. That focus is directed by the meaning we're creating in our heart. If we create with big picture meanings, then our heart will always be in the big picture, and the details of our story will naturally generate out of the grander view, thus making even the details grand. It doesn't mean that there won't be any surprises. It just means that the surprises will be seen as more meaningful and full of life. From this perspective, we can take a whole new approach to details. We can use details to foster and increase appreciation. We can approach details in order to have greater understanding and appreciation for our life. The detailed view is a close-up view, and we experience it in a whole other way when we don't use it to fret over and get stuck in. The key is to not overindulge the detailed view, to intentionally shift to the big picture view often. This leads to a shift in the whole person because, with practice, we can eventually experience the details and the big picture simultaneously and learn about the meanings that lie dormant in that combined experience. This is a pathway in the PST. These are signposts you can use to intentionally change the direction of your life story and come to a deeper understanding of how to operate your own self. You step onto the big picture path by asking a big picture question. You move along the path by being receptive to the answers to the questions that you put out. The receiving of answers is you actually flowing along the big picture path by following the big picture view. How will you know you're there? You'll know because you'll feel relaxed. You'll feel a sense of lightness as you are barely physical. And you will be learning, you will be ahaing and gaining insights and feeling appreciation. This again is your signpost that you are in the big picture view. With practice and mastery, you can actually live from this view. It is most stunning, the most peaceful and exciting view I've ever experienced. And so I invite you to this path. It is life-giving and permeated with a sense of love and belonging. It's always available and it's free. The big picture in action. When we take the big picture view, this is another chapter, I didn't designate that right. The big picture in action. When we take the big picture view of pattern shifting and live from an understanding of the wave nature of expression experience, we become surfers of these waves. We become surfers of awareness. Does this sound like it might be exciting, challenging, fun, and inspiring? To choose a new meaning and intentionally take on the shock wave of initial change is to challenge yourself in riding the big waves. Here we learn skill in sensing the shift in our personal mind space and come to relate to ourselves as the surfer. When we face the initial shock waves of pattern shifting as the surfer, we take on the task at hand as an adventure. We can always find new meanings to try, and these new meanings can have an initiating shock as powerful as the momentum shock of an old pattern that is being abandoned. If you get nothing else out of this little book and the big picture, get this. Life is overwhelming and full of shocks, little ones and big ones. To become skilled surfers is to learn to abide and ride out the overwhelming nature of our experiences of fear, of happiness, of sorrow, of joy, and most especially of love. Even the day-to-day mundane can overwhelm us. And the shocks are our attention getters, and we will learn to love surfing when we learn to love the shocks. We can anticipate these shock waves with dread, anxiety, and low energy. We can approach these waves of life obsessing and overindulging in the details. We're free to do that. or we can choose another path. We can approach these waves of change with the excitement of adventure and understand that if we surf through the rigors of phase 1 of pattern shifting with skill, we will soon find ourselves surfing the easier waves of phase 2. What we practice, we master. When the new pattern is fully integrated, we see ourselves using the new meanings with ease. This ease demonstrates our increasing skill at living through the new meaning and signals phase 3 of pattern shifting. The completion phase. Our practice with the new pattern now becomes that of deeper understanding and appreciation for the new meaning. We now view the details in an attitude of appreciation and relating them to a deeper knowing of the whole. We appreciate the details, but we don't get caught up in them because we are flowing with the new meaning. We gain expert skill and the accompanying grace that comes with actions that have become second nature. We surf the new configuration with confidence in ourselves to express and a newfound love for the action itself. The positions of life-enhancing meanings and life-denying meanings are interchangeable here. Whether we are shifting from something life-affirming to something life-degrading, or vice versa, the process is the same. We can become an expert hoarder or murderer in the same way we become an expert manifester of peace and ease. It all stems from the meanings we are using to define and describe ourselves and life. What does life mean to you? What is the current basic meaning you hold about yourself? Do you see yourself as limited? If so, you are living the meaning limited. Do you see yourself as an infinite creator of reality? If so, you are living the meaning of infinite creator creation. If not, why not? Identity. Our identity in this world is the collection of meanings we are perpetuating here. Meanings are ultimately coherent energy states. Meanings are pure action. So our personal identity is generating through our personal actions. The meanings we are choosing to personally express are actions. I'm going to end this now because noises are coming in the house, and I will begin with the next video and talking about identity here. And this is the Dove Lady over and out for now.